Hey folks, and welcome to this edition of Her Motorcycle Adventures, and today I'm going to answer all your questions about my first 4 months on the road, full-time motorcycle touring and camping. Now, it's not always sunshine and roses, but one thing certain is it's definitely always an adventure. And today I'm in the outback town of Thargomindah in Queensland, and I'm right away from all the COVID hotspots and all the craziness that there is, and I've just been sort of staying here for a little bit just so that I can just wait out some time in that. So that's where I am today, in case you were curious, and I'm going to endeavour to answer all your questions. I'm going to try and keep them fairly concise so that, you know, otherwise we'll be here for 3 hours. But anyway, I hope that I can answer your questions well and that you enjoy this video of my first 4 months full-time motorcycle touring and camping. Okay, so the first question is from Peter Bennett, and he has asked, love your videos, I'm hooked, but is there anywhere I can follow behind the scenes? Great question, Peter. Yes, there is. I haven't really been fantastic with Instagram. I don't know, it's just something I've never really sort of got too heavily involved in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting my snippets together of little outtakes of videos, photos and things that don't necessarily make it onto YouTube. I'm going to get way better with Instagram, I promise you. So you can head over to Instagram as Her Motorcycle Adventures, and yeah, I'll endeavour to really be good with it and get it pumping. Okay, so yeah, that's where I'll be. Michael Nelson asked, did you bring enough wine for the trip? My problem always in Oz. There's always enough room in your saddlebag for at least one bottle of something special. And the next question is from John. I don't know how to pronounce your surname, but it's Baistr. John, your question is, what's the secret of a long video recording? How much can you get on a micro SD card? Great question, John. My SD card is 128 gig and I shoot in HD resolution. Normally my problem is not how much video I can get on the card, it's how long the battery life is, because normally the battery will run out way before my SD card. So the secret is to have more batteries. Okay, the next question is from Kylie Thompson. What sort of mattress do you use that rolls up well enough for when you're traveling on the bike? Great question, Kylie. I've got a Denali hiking mattress. It's about yay thick, so not very thick at all, and it's one of those ones with foam inside, and it's got an air valve which you open up, obviously let the air in and then close it. Now what was happening was, over time I found that it was getting harder and harder, like I was just getting closer and closer to the ground. And what I learnt was, when I stay at a place, if I'm going out during the day and leaving my camp set up, to open up the valve so that the foam can get air in it and, you know, refill and keep that sponginess about it. I'm actually going to do another video where I'll actually physically show you all my gear, and I'll show you how I pack it onto my bike and how it fits, because this thing packs down like really small, so it's good for that. I have also bought an $8 yoga mat from Kmart, and it's like yay thick, it's quite spongy, and I have that under as well because I find the Denali one on its own is just not enough for me personally. So I hope that helps. Okay, Russell Ryan asked me, how much did you know about mechanical issues, repairs, etc. before you left, and have you had to do many on the way? Great question, Ryan. I actually grew up on a farm. My dad was very mechanical and my brother actually became a mechanic. So I've got a little bit of a working knowledge about machinery and maintenance and that sort of thing on, you know, general equipment, what have you. I actually can and do service my own motorcycle and tighten the chain on it. I wouldn't say I'm definitely not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. There's always new stuff to learn, which I love learning. Could I get myself out of a really bad pickle? Yeah, we'll see about that. I haven't had to as yet, but of course what I'm doing is keeping my knowledge up and learning more and more, looking up videos and reading stuff so that I can expand my knowledge. Mick Kenner asked me who supplied the lighting rig and power. Looks pretty professional. Yeah, I put this photo on the forum showing the lights I had. Now what they are is it is a Spectrum Aurora LED light, and it is very thin. It also comes with a rechargeable battery, and I've got a little stand. Now this thing fits really well. I can actually stuff it into my sleeping bag, roll it up and put it into my dry bag. So that is very helpful. I get quite many hours out of it, of course, depending on how bright I set it as to how long I'll get out of it. And the only other equipment I got is I shoot my videos with a standard phone. So yeah, that's my gear. Obviously I've also got a couple of tripods as well, and they're quite skinny, so they fold down really well and pack into my gear very well. So my next two questions are actually similar, so I thought I'd combine them, and they were from Wayne Dando and Damien Coke, and the two questions were: having no refrigeration, what did you do food and drink wise? And Damien's question is, what do you take for food when you're going remote for 3 days or more? So what I do is I have a lot of those packets, those continental packets of pasta and rice. They are cheap and really quick and easy to prepare. I normally just put a bit of water and oil in them, and Bob's your uncle. I also have protein powder. I've got a bag of it, yay big, and that just straight mixes into water. I mean, that is so easy. I also carry tins of tuna. They're so, rip them open, can eat it straight out of the can. I also carry things like apples, nuts and seeds. I eat quite a bit of, but I also have this hard case that keeps eggs in, because eggs are quite filling, and I can miss lunch and not care if I've had a good meal of scrambled eggs in the morning. So I keep it very basic. I haven't been out so long that it's been too much of a hassle yet. I've been going through quite a few towns, so I generally pick up some meat on the way that I eat. I just get one piece of like a steak or a couple of sausages from the deli and cook them up that night with a little salad. So I do that quite a lot because I've been going through all these little country communities. With water, I generally carry between 2 to 4 litres with me at any given time. I haven't been so far out that I've had to pack like 20 litres of water or something as of yet. So yeah, I've been keeping to country towns, which has kept me, not having to worry about it as much. The next question is from Alex Van Cool. His question is, 2 questions that I always love to hear from adventurers is: 1, if you've had one of your trips, what was your biggest butt clenching moment when you generally thought this might be it? To answer that one, that would be Jacob's Ladder. I got up Jacob's Ladder. I was on a road bike with road tyres, so not really the right tyres to be going up Jacob's Ladder, and it's unsealed. So I was at the top going, yay, and then the clouds come over and it started raining. I'm like, the weather can change very fast in Tassie, so yeah, let that be known. But yeah, I was like, oh no, I've got to get down this thing. And it's like on the side of a cliff, and it started raining, so I was like, oh gosh. I was nervous. I was really nervous. The weather really, really can change fast in Tassie. I'll give you the hint on that one. And his second question is, what was the most awe-inspiring moment? Something you saw or experienced that made you really stop and just say, wow. I'd have to say the sunsets out at Dunlop Station. I was on my own there and just looking at the sky, all these beautiful colours. I mean, there's nothing like an outback sunset. Absolutely nothing like it. Well, so far anyway. Duncan Roebuck asked me, he's congratulated me on such a long time on the road. Best tip, biggest regret, visit again. Okay, best tip is don't pack too much clothing. I am very minimal. I pretty much wear the same coloured t-shirt. I've either got this navy one and a couple of black ones. Why? Because they're easy to keep. You know, if they get stains on them or that, it doesn't really matter. You can't see them too visibly, and you know, I don't have to think about it, and they're quick and easy to roll up. So I'm pretty much t-shirt and jeans. I am so minimal. I think sometimes people pack too much stuff and you really don't need it. Biggest regret, I didn't do this trip sooner. Visit again. I am loving the outback, though, as a few of you have commented, and I totally agree, I'm loving these dirt roads and going into these vast outback regions. And I've been talking to Roz, a fellow YouTuber, and she's just saying, girl, you are going to, once you've got a taste of adventure with that dirt, you're going to want to keep going with it. And Roz, you are so spot on with that. I'm loving it, but I'm going to definitely upgrade the bike and get something that's more appropriate so that I can go into the deserts and more remote parts that the road bike is just clearly not suited to go on. I am really, really loving the isolation of the outback. So we'll be doing more of that next year and a little bit of this year, but I'll probably go back to more asphalted roads just so that I don't completely kill the GS. Jocelyn Lovett has asked me, could you do a review of your camping and cooking gear? Absolutely. I have been asked this question and I'd love to do it. I'd also love to show you all how I fit it on my bike, etc., because I've got some really good gear that packs down so well and I'm loving it. So I'll do one in the not too distant future. Okay. Andrew Place has asked me, what video equipment do you use and how do you edit your fantastic videos? Old person here, so please use small, simple words. Thanks for sharing your experiences. You're welcome, Andrew. Okay, so what video equipment do I use? Okay, so in my little case here, I have got two of these action cams. I've got a DJI Osmo action cam. I've got two of these and my phone. Yep, that's right. All those cutaway shots you see are filmed on a phone, Samsung S20. What video editing gear I use is Power Director because I can also edit that on the tablet as well. So that kind of makes it much easier as a mobile solution. The next question is from Josie Wales, and her question is, how much of a problem did COVID cause trying to travel? Great question in these trying times. It hasn't been too bad. Basically, I've stayed well away from the hot spots and I've been quite remote actually, so they're nowhere near hot spots. But I've also stayed in the different states for quite a number of weeks. So I've made sure that I've got all my, permits to go into the next state, ahead of time, and I've made sure that, I just haven't been in any problem areas. But, having said that, I've been here for about, a week and a half now. So, just staying, I'm actually in outback Queensland. So, I'm a fair way away from it. I'm probably going to, this has actually altered my travel plans just actually in the last few days. I was actually going to go up to the NT, but now I think I might just focus my time the next few months in Queensland, but you know, I'll just see how I go with that. And it's good that I'm actually able to be flexible, especially in these times. I don't want to go anywhere too near a hotspot. Okay, the next question is from Lorraine Stewart, and her question is, hi Gwyneth, just wondering how you go with managing your fuel. Do you carry extra in the remote parts of Australia? Lorraine, so far I haven't gone that far remote that I need extra fuel supply. I make sure that the leg that I'm doing is no longer than 300 kilometres, otherwise I'll find another way to do it at this stage. I'm going to be getting another bike and kitting it out with extra fuel bladders, etc., for when I do go on, you know, more adventurous and out into the outback even further. So I'm just sort of doing my due diligence and navigating paths that are within the endurance of the motorcycle at this. Okay, the next question is from Stacey Barr, and her question is, what do you do to manage the security of your bike if and when you're not right next to it? Okay, so for the bike, I've got one of those rotor alarms that you put on the rotor disc of your bike, and that, you know, makes a very shrill noise if someone were to steal the bike. With my belongings, it's how I pack them. Like I pack them over the pannier bag in a certain way, which makes it more difficult for people to get into the pannier bags. I also park as best I can outside, like if it's a cafe or a chemist or what have you that I need to do, I'll park it as in front of it as I can. And with things like my laptop and those sorts of more expensive items that I definitely don't want to leave on my bike, I carry them on a backpack with me so that at least they won't get nicked. But yeah, there's always the question, should you have soft bags, hard bags on your bike? And that's only a question you can answer because there's pros and cons for each. Okay, the next question is from my Twitter, and it's CAMPISANOMBA, and his question is, last time you had a good cup of coffee not freeze dried? Laugh out loud. Okay, that was about over a week and a half ago in Cunnamulla, and yeah, 200 kilometres away. So yeah, that was my last coffee. Dino from Twitter asked me, when will you get to Queensland? I'm already here. I'm already here in this glorious sunshine. The next question comes from Jill D on Twitter, and her question is, when did you start riding a motorcycle, and did you join a club, or were you always a loner? I've pretty much always been a loner. I learned how to ride on the farm at 13. My father taught me, and I got my first road bike when I was 19 years old. However, my ex-boyfriend decided to take it upon himself and sell it on me, and I kind of lost, you know, I didn't ride for many years. I've been back, what is it, a year now or something? And next time, hint, peoples, get rid of the ex before they get rid of any of your toys like motorcycles and that. They ain't worth it. Okay, now this question is actually, his Twitter handle is question at Phil M. That's all I've got on the screenshot at the moment. And his question is, do you camp or stay in hotels? Mainly I do actually camp. I have two big power banks, and yes, they do obviously run out, so I go to a caravan park and stay in a powered site. I haven't really had to do a hotel yet, so that's how I sort of keep it moving. But I mainly do stay in caravan parks or farm stays and that, so that I can power up, you know, my computer and things like that for all the editing that I do, and recharge my power banks. Diane asked me, do you travel on your own, and what do you do in case of danger? I don't think I'd be able to do this on my own. If you do, you're one brave gal. Diane, I have a pet. Her name is Bella, so she must travel with me. Though I have her in the support car that is generally a couple of days behind me. Now, I do that for two reasons. I do it, of course, for safety, for backup. I also run a business as well. I'm half owners in a company, so I've got, you know, my more heavier computer gear and backup drives and all those sort of things. So I do need to keep my responsibilities with my company as well and to my pet. But the reason we do it this way is so that I can do this trip as solo as I can within my limitations of what I've got. And, you know, this kind of works because I'm able to I make all my own decisions. Where am I going to go? What am I going to film? Should I go down this road? Should I go down that road? Where am I going to camp? All those sort of decisions makes it the trip as autonomous as possible. Most days I am on my own and most nights. Left Bob asked me, my ex-wife just got a motorcycle at 52, never ridden in her life. How much life insurance should I purchase? Well, Left Bob, a lot. No, just kidding on that one. I actually think she'll make a great rider because she's more aware of, you know, herself and realizes she's not bulletproof, which will make her more safety conscious, will make her look out for, you know, cars and other idiots on the road. And I think all up, I don't know, I think older, you know, we're wiser and not as bulletproof, so we're going to be way more aware, I think. Good on her. Stephen Padilla asked me, how much do you spend on gas? Great question. Generally, a tank of fuel is costing me between $12.50 to more recently I paid $17.50 in Cunnamulla, which was the most I've paid for a tank of gas, and I'll usually need 2 tanks per week. Generally, sometimes 3 if I'm going much further, because the endurance on my motorcycle is 300 kilometers. Okay, so the next question comes from Liberty to ourselves. I think it's sort of been cut off here on my Twitter, but he'll know when I read it out. Just know that you are surrounded by people, and I hope you never feel alone. Oh, thank you. Sometimes we simply need to take a break from others and experience and love ourselves. I couldn't 100% agree with you more. That is for sure, especially people who relationship jump. I mean, what's with that? You know, I just think it's personally, in my personal opinion, is that I just think we need to love ourselves and really know who we are. And like this perpetual need to be in relationships and have all these people around us, I think, you know, I don't know. I just don't think that's normal. You know, I think society's got a lot to answer for and with their expectations. Anyway, moving along, I digress. As you looked into yourself these 90 days, well, it's actually longer, but this question I put out at the 90-day mark. So anyway, we'll impose 4 months onto that. Knowing you're 1,000 times enough, laugh out loud, did you ever feel alone? Thank you for all the niceties in there. And the question is a really good question because, yes, a lot of my life I have actually felt on my own very, very much because I don't feel that I can relate to most people. I've had a fairly tough existence, one would say, I suppose, a hard experience. If anyone really knows my story, which I've put it out there and a lot of people do, and I've ended up with complex PTSD. Now, I've got that under control fairly much because, you know, I've, you know, done a lot of research and a lot of work on myself and meditation and what have you. But, you know, I think with that can cause you to definitely, I mean, you have flashbacks, you have nightmares. It's a bit of a bitch of a thing to sort of really completely get over, but I manage it very well. And I think that has tended to make me feel a little bit paranoid and more alienated from general society. But what I was doing in the past made me feel extraordinarily lonely. And just this sense of, I just can't relate to anyone. And that made me feel very isolated and alone. And I think what I'm doing now is really, I mean, is the best therapy ever. Because I'm discovering new parts to myself that I didn't, you know, that have been dormant within me and that I didn't know that I experience. And I've always been a woman that's wanted to push boundaries and, like, you know, with my pilot's license and what have you, and explore and have this curiosity about life. And I think I've been a more experiences kind of person than a wanting to be around crowds and that just drive me absolutely crazy, and I like anxiety and all those sorts of issues. So yeah, I am a bit of a loner, and I have felt alone a lot of my life, and creating this wonderful community here on YouTube has just been wonderful. I've been able to connect also on, you know, Twitter and the forums, and, you know, starting on Instagram and what have you. I'm starting to really build a community, which I'm so happy with, because some of you guys have got some, you know, some stories of your own, and you're sort of connecting with me too. So yeah, I don't feel as alone anymore. Rewild all golf courses on my Twitter asked me, have you made contact with other female overlanders? Roz's moto adventure ride, itchy boots on her bike. Yes, Roz and I have talked a little bit on YouTube. She's absolutely awesome. I've also sort of, you know, on the internet also briefly spoken with Itchy Boots and on her bike, you know, not too personally, but I would love to meet all three of these women actually in person, or even over Skype or something. I mean, wouldn't you love to pick their brains, because they've done such amazing adventures. They're all incredible women, and they've all inspired me, and I think it's just so wonderful that people like all three ladies there and others are just getting out there and just doing their thing. It's just absolutely incredible. So yeah, hopefully one day I'll get to meet them or talk over the internet or whatever. That would be wonderful. Rewild all golf courses asked me also, are you going to keep going once you've done Australia? The answer to that is yes. There are definitely many other countries that I want to visit, but obviously with these COVID restrictions, who knows when that's going to be. I've still got a lot of Australia to see, so yeah, we'll see how that all pans out, but yes, definitely. The next question comes from Bike Jobs on Twitter, and he's asked, how have you changed since embarking on your adventure? I feel less dulled down. I feel more alive and what's going to happen next. Whereas most of us, I suppose, in our day-to-day life, it's kind of like we're in a rut and we run the same patterns. And for me now, it's just like every day's like an adventure. What's going to happen next? It sort of brought that sense of wonderment back into my life. It's been amazing. Okay, Cindy on my Twitter. Hi, Cindy. You always ask good questions. What's the one thing rather you miss the most while on the road? Heating. Some of these nights, especially when it was -2 degrees, I missed an electric heater. Number 2 is, what's the most amazing thing you've learned so far on this trip? Cindy, what I've learned so far on this trip is that I'm not on my own, that there are actually thousands of other like-minded people who want to do what I'm doing, and have actually said to me, you've inspired me, I'm going to get out on the bike and do this trip, to hell with it. So I'm so glad of that, like, because I want these videos to stimulate something in people that makes them want to get out and live their life, whether that's motorcycle touring, traveling, or whatever it may be. So I'm hoping that, you know, I'll get ideas off of you folk out there about, you know, how I can sort of do videos that, you know, will inspire, encourage you, or educate you on how to do it. I mean, I've been doing this 4 months. I'm not an expert. I'm doing it my way. It's working for me so far, and I'm just happy to be amongst so many like-minded people. So that's the most amazing thing I've learnt so far. Not an Invader asked me, what were 3 towns you've visited that you thought, I really like this place and could live here? What a great question. 3 towns, actually 2 of them were in Tasmania, one being the little coastal town of Penguin and the other being Deloraine. I don't know, there's something about that place that keeps drawing me back there, I think. And also St Arnaud in Victoria on the mainland. That was a really, I don't know, it was just a really cool, friendly place. Really beautiful. So on my Her Motorcycle Adventures Instagram account, I had, these two are kind of similar. Wildfinders asked me, what's the weather like right now? How are you keeping warm or cool? I'm in Queensland at the moment, and after having spent all that time in Tasmania with its winters, I am basking in the glorious sunshine, although some of the evenings get quite cold. And that leads on to the next question from Steve-O every third, who asked me, how do you go keeping warm while camping through winter? Any tips? Well, I have had some -2 degree nights. My sleeping bag is rated at 0 degrees. However, I have actually bought a Sea to Summit thermal liner, which adds another 8 degrees of warmth. And that is, I didn't think a flimsy bit of material could give so much warmth, and it does. Totally worth every cent I paid for it. I think I got it on special for like $70 at Anaconda or something. Best decision ever to get the thermal liner. And the other thing I do is I put a neck warmer on. I actually also got that at Anaconda. It was $14, and the thermal liner is also, I can put it on my neck. The neck warmer. I'm getting so caught up in the thermal liner, but the neck warmer also goes on while I'm riding my motorbike, so it doubles up. And I've found that having that and the beanie on as well, that really, really keeps me warm. Peter Plowman asked me, how are you going with the close downs? If you've watched this video in its entirety, I've answered that question. I am navigating fairly well through that at the moment. Keep my fingers crossed. Will you look at changing the bike anytime for this trip? Yes, I will. Don't know when, but it'll be coming. It'll be coming. Will you go to the Flinders Ranges in South Australia? Abso-bloody-lutely I will. You will need off-road tyres to see all the really good stuff there. Yes, as I've been on dirt and corrugated dirt roads, sand and corrugated dirt roads, absolutely, I totally agree with that sentiment. And let's always take care and stay safe. Thank you, and you too. Thanks very much, Peter. Okay, Rod McIsaac on my YouTube community tab asked me, I'd like to hear about your gear, like which tent and other gear would you recommend? Rod, I'm going to do a second video on that, because I actually want to show and tell the gear so you can see it up close and all that sort of thing. So I will do that as a video. And he's also interested in a transition update of who I was 4 months ago compared to today. Time sure flies. Rod, you know, I think I'm more bring it on now, as opposed to when I started, like, can I do this? It seems a bit overwhelming, you know, sort of the tentative first steps. And I started off in my home state, so I had that home state advantage. And, you know, that was okay. And then I was sort of going, well, how's it going to be on the mainland? So I was sort of, am I going to do okay? And now I'm like, as Roz of Roz's Moto Adventures, she's saying about the dirt and how I'm getting magnetically attracted to it. Let's hope not too physically attracted to the dirt, but yeah, I am like, bring it. What more can I do? Terry, Zulu Rider, asked me, what are the must-haves in the way of gear? Also interested in how you pack everything onto your bike. Great questions. For me, the three must-haves are my neck warmer for sure. The sleeping bag liner has been an absolute godsend. And also the jet boil. I mean, you know, I just use it for boiling water, my coffees, cooking food. It's absolutely essential. I will do a video on how I play Tetris with putting all my things on the bike so that you can physically do it. I mean, I'm getting all these great video ideas off you guys, so I'll do a video on that for you. Thank you so much for your question. Falcon S Chick asked me, are you already planning your next adventure? If so, where are you planning to go? I've still obviously got a lot of Australia to go, and like with this whole COVID restrictions, like, oh wow, how much of the world is going to open up at what times? I think realistically after Australia, I'll probably drop over to New Zealand because that'll probably be in our travel bubble, but let's just see how it goes. I mean, who really knows? There's so many countries I want to do. I absolutely love New Zealand. I've seen a little bit of it, but I've never done it on a motorcycle, and I just think that might be my next obvious choice of a place to go after Australia with the whole COVID thing. But yeah, I mean, there's so many countries I want to do, so watch this space. Dave Clues asked me, how do you fund this lifestyle? I'm very envious, please never stop. Dave, I hope it keeps perpetuating this traveling lifestyle that I'm doing, but luckily for me, I own my own company. It's actually teaches people to draw a line in the sand and reinvent their life. And coincidentally, the website is Reinvent.Your.life. I was also doing live coaching events around the world, but COVID kind of put a stop to that. So I more do coaching online and that sort of things, digital products and that, but this is really not the forum to sort of, you know, pitch my other stuff. I've also got investments, and I had a book that went really well and that sort of thing. So all those sort of things have been able to make me fund this lifestyle. I live very frugally, so I'm good with money, and that also helps with travel as well. Graham Hayes asked me, would you consider buying another Suzuki, i.e. late model SV650? Graham, my prerequisites for my next bike is that it has to be good in dirt. So I'm probably going to head more towards probably an adventure bike, not enduro. I don't think I need to go that full on. Adventure bike, it must be able to handle some more of the outback. I mean, this is ridiculous putting a road bike on some of the roads I've gone on. So yeah, that's my biggest prerequisite. If you've made it this far in the video, you're either a hardcore fan or you fell asleep in front of the computer. Whichever way it was, thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video of Her Motorcycle Adventures. Have a good week. See you next time.